Section TM 55203, Chapter 8, brakes. Maintenance of a railway car. Section 2, handbrakes. General. A purpose A. All railway cars must be equipped with suitable means of slowing down and stopping the car hand. When the cars are switched in the yards, the frequently motion and the locomotive coupled to the and handbrake is necessary to the trainman are to be control of these cars. There are many types of the handbrakes, each which must be operational requirements. Handbrakes are illustrated and described in the following paragraphs. B. The operation of the main requirements: the handbrakes are mostly capable of stopping, and that it must be operated in harmony. Air brake in operation harmony must be means of the handbrake can be used and operate in the same foundation. Breaker levers, riggings, and air brakes of the handbrake will also be installed on the B end of the car, and this end of the toward the braking piston moves. Usually the handbrake is connected in the cylinder level adjacent with the brake piston connection of the same equivalent. In general handbraking, the equipment consists of the hand wheel, hand lever, and hand shaft handbrake connections, which include the rod change connection, handbrake shafts of the brake levers. In some cases, other parts such as gears, pawls, and bell cranking as well is used. In C types, handbrake operators include the ordinary shaft handbrake equipped with the hand wheels at the top of the earned with the wind of the brake chain on or off or lower end of the shaft, and the ratchet type of the brake, in which the lever ratchet are employed and installed in an ordinary hand wheel. The drum or the cone type, which employs a ratchet device and gear to the brake, which gears assist the application of the power. Figure 86 of the and screw type of the brake shaft, the turn and means of screw or worm or gear the brake that is applied in the means of the crank toggle. D. The classification: the type of handbrakes used in a car is further classified by horizontal or vertical designation. Will be used in upon the position of the handbrake. For example, the gear type, the hand wheel, or an horizontal handbrake designated horizontal gear to the type of the handbrake. Wheel is vertical as well as the vertical type. Gear type, figure 8 illustrates the vertical lever geared handbrake. This type is designated mounting ends of the front gondola freight cars. Figure 8:16 illustrates the vertical wheel type of gear handbrake. Horizontal type of the possible transmit braking force directly in the hand wheel to the vertical shaft. Evidence the straight shaft type of the equipment. However, this vertical type, since braking force is applied initially to horizontal direction, some medium such gearing is necessary change the direction of the force of horizontal vertical. So transmore is a point below a level of underframe. Using the horizontal brake convention, the brake force initial vertical direction shaft vertical direction can be transmitted to the bottom of the car and vertical shaft of gear tape, but with a horizontal handbrake using the brake force generally transmitted through vertical shaft. However, the vertical brake and the direction application of the force to change the horizontal vertical length of the chain connected to the vertical shaft normally used in transmit. This is a straight shaft handbrake. This right here is a vertical geared handbrake of the 50-ton USA boxcar shown in retainer valve. The braking force beneath the car, the straight turn shaft will rotate the hand wheel is turned. When the chain is used, it will rise up on the brake up application of a small shaft drum. If it is lower than the brake of the release of the unwinding, when the braking force reaches below the level of underframe, it must change the direction to the change of the foundation of the brake rigging and rods and the operating the brake shoes. 5. The design early straight shaft design. The straight shaft design consists of the handbrake and hand lever as a shaft and running vertically along with the end of the car and anchored in the bracket underframe. The horizontal chain and fastened to the end of the vertical shaft. The gear and pawl usually near the vertical shaft, preventing equipment of the backing off. When the hand wheel has a turn to apply the brake shoes, the shaft of the gear turn of the pawl engine engages each tooth of the gear, preventing the back off. Simultaneously, horizontally brake chain will wind around the turn shaft and applies the brakes. To release the brakes, and the pawl should be disengaged of the hand wheel and into the turn in the opposite direction to permit the chain unwind. The vertical shaft and variation of straight shaft type of the embodying same principle of the gear type is to have the end of the anchored in an under type and the under frame with a spur gear installed in the shaft. Sometimes may be bent and extended. The brake inoperative. The bent must be noticed to be the shaft, whether they prohibited as wind should be around the shaft, and chain must be properly secured at the bottom of the underframe. The ratchet and the pawl were exposed. Inspected both of the wheels, pawls, and secured operatively prior to the brake. In any position, the brake releases properly, and the pawl is released. You see type 8-7. You see a horizontal type handbrake. A8, you see a vertical lever type handbrake. B. Geared handbrakes. Geared handbrakes are used with three types of horizontal, vertical, and lever. All types of operational similar manner. The handbrake operates in harmony in the power braking design in such that it is applied in brake cylinder lever and the piston connection is permanent to the movement not less than 14 inches. Also when the brake piston has the full release, there is no slack in between the hand brake chain and any other connections. The brake wheel drum arranged and relieved, and the handbrake is applied gradually, released in 9/16 of an inch hand chains and maximum 3/4 inch diameter rods. Rods are used. 8.6 for maintenance, lubrication. When the cars are shop or repaired, the track periodic attention to the air brakes are geared and handbrake mechanism connections must be also inspected and tested. Lubricated brakes and found inoperative. The lack of lubrication will not be or the lack of lubrication will be cleaned to permit the oil and grease and movability. B. The mechanical use when the brakes are found in the inoperative mechanical cause defective must be replaced or removed and replaced. The brakes that cannot be repaired in the shop or repair tracks, they are removed, demolished, and the cars should be sent in reclamation points. Part of one type of the type of the brake should not be used and replaced the parts of any other type. Welding and brazing. Mechanical parts and geared and handbrakes are prohibited. However, worn holes and pads on the front or the rear housing plates must be built in. Electrical welding is provided by provide a proper seating of bushings and collars. Bushings may be tacked welding into the front of the rear housing plates and prevent the loose and turning wearing of the large holes in either plate. D. To chain vertical horizontal handbrake chains should be inspected and to ensure that they are securely pinned and anchored in any of each and respectively operational. Any loose connections should be remedied immediately. Carefully inspect should be made into the handbrake chains, connections, and dragging on car axles. Corrective action taken, the constant contact movement, handbrake chains, and resisting car axles when cut result in chains being worn through as long as a brazing axle surface. The situation can be dangerous, particularly on tanker cars loading flammable materials. Bell crank. If the particular handbrake system employs a bell crank, the bell crank must be secure and should be pivoted freely. If the bracket holding of the bell crank must be secure, the bell cranking is bent and then possible straighten and impairing the operational efficiency. However, if bending and pronounced and bell cranking is cracked, broken, and crank must be removed and replaced with a new one. Where a small chain is shelf and secured and bracket and fastened, the under frame is geared and the small shaft is meshed in the gear vertical brake shaft. These gears should be inspected. Proper mesh and crack broken in the teeth and the broken gears. These gears must be properly fashioned respectively to and the shafts themselves should be secure, not bent and cracked and broken, and the cracked broken shafts and eventually damaged in the gears and gear teeth through the making of the handbrake and operatives. Any damage to the shaft gear and immediately and remedy of the repair damage to the shaft of the gear should be immediately remedied by the repair or replacement with a new part. F. The connection of foundation brake rigging. At the point of the hand braking equipment connects to the foundation brake rigging, a little play presents allow leverage and free movement while the car is moving, and the free easily movement of the handbrake is applied. G. The gear and gear housing. The gear housing must be securely positioned on the car. Any missing or losing holding parts are tightened and replaced. The handbrake should be operated to see whether they are stiffness extremely in its operation. Evidence either that they must be determined in that the cause is not the same of the other part of the equipment and no other defect can be located. The gearbox should be open and its parts inspected and gradually worn on parts of it should be replaced. Any loose parts should be tightened frequently with defects located in the gear house. It's the best procedures to remove the entire housing of the car, install new housing, and send a defective one to the shop for repairs. H. Safety appliances. All appliances such as brake steps, handholds, brake wheels, ratchet pawls, etc., and safe proper operation of handbrake equipment must be inspected frequently. Any defects must be remedied immediately. Section 3. Air brakes.